back to my channel. This time we will be talking about assessment tools used in the teaching and learning process. Assessment is an essential part of the instructional cycle. The instructional cycle consists of, first, setting the intended learning outcomes, second, selecting a teaching methodology, strategy, and activity that are aligned to the learning outcome, and the topic which are developmentally appropriate to the learners, and third, the assessment itself. So, assessment is the part of the instructional cycle that determines whether or not the intended learning outcome has been attained, and so necessarily the assessment task must be aligned to the intended learning outcomes. In a lesson on an assessment, we can speak of assessment for learning, assessment of learning, and assessment as learning. Assessment for learning is referred to as formative assessment, while assessment as learning is referred to as self-assessment. If we found out that the learners failed to understand prerequisite knowledge and skills, we reteach until learners master them. This is called the formative assessment, an assessment while the learners are being formed or taught. It is conducted in the midst of or during the instruction. Examples of formative assessments are oral, recitation, evaluations, and applications, and peer assessments. Assessment as learning is referred to as self-assessment. Assessment as learning means assessment is a way of learning. It is the use of ongoing self-assessment by the learners in order to monitor their own learning. This manifested when learners reflect on their own learning and make necessary adjustments so that they achieve deeper understanding. Assessment as a learner encourages students to take responsibility for their own learning, and it requires students to ask questions about their learning. So this time, students are set to test their own learning capabilities. Examples of these are diagnostic tests, whether the teacher would like to test students' capabilities, pre-tests, exams. It provides ways for students to use formal and informal feedback and self-assessment to help them understand the next steps in learning, and also to help the teachers what necessary reinforcement he or she will do to aid or to support the learner's learning process. When teachers have done everything they can to help students attain the intended learning outcome or outcomes, teachers subject their students to assess for grading purposes. They provide tasks and activities to grade them. This is referred to assessment of learning, also known as the summative assessments. This assessment is usually done before the discussion to test whether the students have learned something. Examples of formative assessments are final and midterm exams, or midterm and final exams, portfolios, and performance tasks and products. So those are the different assessments used before, during, and after the discussion. The self-assessment, formative, and the summative assessment. So So before you construct your assessment tools, make sure that you have to align the learning outcomes with the assessment that you would like, so that students will be able to acquire the knowledge or the right knowledge, skills, and attitude. That's all. This has been Min. Until next!